I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. I know a lot about John Deere. I love the company. But as you know, they've announced a few days ago that they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%. They think they're going to make product cheaper in Mexico and then sell it in for the same prices.
John Deere says it's going to be laying off more than 160 workers from 2 Illinois factories. A tractor manufacturing company said the layoffs come amid sluggish demand for agriculture equipment. Deere says low commodity prices are also pushing down demand for combines and other equipment, while tariffs are raising costs. The layoffs are impacting employees at the East Moline facility and cylinder plant in Moline. Another 71 workers will also be laid off.
John Deere announcing another round of layoffs at 2 Iowa manufacturing plants. It says 101 jobs will be cut at its Waterloo operations and 40 jobs will be impacted at its Des Moines Works facility. The company is saying in a news release to Farm Journal that the cuts are due to decreased demand and lower order volumes.
The sudden shutdown of multiple John Deere dealerships across Arkansas has triggered a wave of economic anxiety that is spreading rapidly through rural and industrial communities alike. These dealerships have long served as more than retail outlets. They are essential hubs for equipment access, maintenance, financing, and employment. Their closure represents a critical fracture in the agricultural support system that underpins much of the state's economy. As doors close and lots sit empty, the impact is being felt far beyond the immediate loss of jobs, reaching deep into the daily operations of farms and the stability of entire regions for Arkansas farmers. John Deere dealerships are a lifeline. Modern agriculture depends on highly specialized machinery that requires regular servicing and rapid repairs. When dealerships shut down, access to parts and technical support becomes uncertain or delayed. Planting and harvest schedules, already vulnerable to weather and market pressures, face new risks as equipment downtime increases. Even short delays can translate into significant financial losses, compounding the stress farmers are already experiencing in a fragile market environment. The closures are particularly destabilizing because they arrive amid broader challenges facing Arkansas agriculture: rising input costs, volatile crop prices, and unpredictable climate conditions have eroded margins across the state. Dealership shutdowns remove a layer of stability that farmers relied on to manage these risks. Without local access to equipment financing or trade-in options, producers may be forced to operate aging machinery longer than is economically viable, increasing breakdowns and reducing efficiency. Employment losses tied to the dealership closures extend beyond sales staff. Mechanics, technicians, parts specialists, and administrative workers are suddenly without work, often in communities where alternative employment is scarce. These positions are typically skilled and well-paying, supporting families and local economies. Their disappearance reduces household income, weakens consumer spending, and places additional strain on social services. In small Arkansas towns, the loss of even a single dealership can reverberate through every sector of the local economy. The political response has been swift and visibly alarmed. The governor of Arkansas has issued urgent statements expressing concern over the cascading effects of the shutdowns. Emergency meetings with agricultural leaders, business groups, and state agencies signal recognition of the severity of the situation. The tone of these responses reflects more than routine crisis management. It suggests genuine fear that the closures could accelerate an already precarious decline in the state's agricultural infrastructure. Underlying the panic is the realization that dealership closures are not isolated business decisions but part of a broader restructuring within the agricultural equipment industry. Consolidation, cost-cutting, and shifts toward centralized service models have reduced the footprint of traditional dealerships nationwide. In Arkansas, where geography and rural density make local access critical, this trend is especially damaging. Farmers accustomed to nearby service now face longer travel times and increased logistical complexity, undermining productivity and increasing operating costs. The shutdowns also disrupt financing relationships that have historically supported farm investment. Dealerships often facilitate loans, leases, and credit arrangements tailored to agricultural cycles. Their absence leaves farmers navigating more distant or less specialized financial institutions, which may not fully understand local conditions. This disconnect increases the risk of unfavorable terms or outright denial of credit, further tightening constraints on an already stressed farming community. Community identity is another casualty of the closures. John Deere dealerships have long been fixtures in Arkansas towns, hosting events, supporting local causes, and serving as gathering points for farmers. Their presence symbolized continuity and connection to a broader agricultural tradition. As buildings are shuttered, communities lose not just services but shared spaces that reinforced social bonds. The emotional impact of this loss adds to a growing sense of abandonment felt across rural Arkansas. The governor of Arkansas faces mounting pressure to intervene, yet options are limited. State authorities cannot easily compel private businesses to remain open, particularly when decisions are driven by national or global strategies. Incentives may be offered, but budget constraints and questions of fairness complicate such measures. Appeals for federal assistance from the USA are underway, but response times and outcomes remain uncertain, deepening anxiety at the state level. Farmers and local leaders are increasingly vocal, demanding transparency and long-term solutions rather than temporary fixes. Town hall meetings have grown tense, with calls for stronger protections for rural economies and greater accountability from large corporations. The shutdowns have become a focal point for broader frustrations about consolidation and the erosion of local control within the agricultural sector. As uncertainty grows, the ripple effects continue to spread. Suppliers dependent on dealership business face reduced orders. Transportation companies lose contracts. Local governments anticipate declining tax revenues, threatening funding for schools, roads, and emergency services. The cumulative impact of these losses paints a stark picture of vulnerability that contrasts sharply with the image of resilience often associated with Arkansas agriculture. The panic surrounding the governor of Arkansas reflects an awareness that the shutdowns could mark a turning point. If dealership closures become permanent and widespread, the structural capacity of the state's farming economy could be fundamentally altered. Recovery would require not only reopening doors but reimagining how equipment access, service, and support are delivered in a rapidly changing industry. As the situation unfolds, Arkansas stands at a crossroads. The shutdown of John Deere dealerships has exposed the interconnectedness of agriculture, industry, and community life. What began as a corporate decision now threatens to reshape the rural landscape of the state. The response in the coming months will determine whether Arkansas can adapt to these disruptions or whether the closures will accelerate a broader decline, leaving farmers and communities struggling to maintain their footing within the evolving agricultural economy of the USA. The shutdown of John Deere dealerships across Arkansas continues to unfold with far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond the initial shock. What first appeared as a disruption to equipment access has evolved into a deeper systemic crisis, exposing how dependent rural economies are on localized service networks as weeks pass. The absence of these dealerships is no longer an abstract concern but a daily operational obstacle for farmers, contractors, and surrounding businesses. The closures are reshaping routines, financial planning, and long-term expectations across large portions of the state. Farm operations are increasingly strained by delayed maintenance and repair schedules. Modern agricultural machinery is highly complex, relying on proprietary diagnostics, specialized tools, and trained technicians. Without nearby dealerships, farmers in Arkansas are forced to transport equipment over long distances or wait extended periods for mobile service, both of which carry high costs. During critical planting and harvesting windows, these delays can be devastating. Missed timing reduces yields, lowers crop quality, and undermines contracts that depend on precise delivery schedules. The shutdowns have effectively introduced a new layer of uncertainty into an already volatile profession as equipment reliability declines. Farmers face difficult financial trade-offs. Some attempt to stockpile parts, tying up limited capital. Others push machinery beyond recommended limits, increasing the likelihood of catastrophic failure. New equipment purchases are often postponed or canceled altogether due to lack of local support and financing. This slowdown in investment ripples outward, reducing demand for manufacturers, transporters, and associated services. What was once a steady economic cycle has begun to stall, feeding a sense of paralysis across agricultural regions of Arkansas. The financial strain is amplified by the loss of dealership-based credit systems. Many Arkansas farmers relied on relationships built over years to secure flexible payment arrangements aligned with seasonal income. With dealerships shut down, these relationships vanish, replaced by distant lenders unfamiliar with local realities. Loan approvals take longer, terms become less favorable, and risk tolerance shrinks. Farmers operating on thin margins find themselves squeezed between rising costs and shrinking access to capital, increasing the likelihood of default and forced exit from the industry. Employment impacts continue to spread beyond the initial layoffs. Former dealership workers struggle to find comparable positions within their communities. Their skills, while valuable, are highly specialized and not easily transferable to other sectors available locally. As unemployment persists, households reduce spending, accelerating downturns in retail, housing, and services. Local governments in Arkansas begin to feel the pressure as sales tax revenues decline and demand for assistance rises. The closures have transformed from a business issue into a fiscal challenge for municipalities. Community cohesion is also under strain. Dealerships once served as informal meeting points where farmers exchanged information, advice, and support. Their absence has removed a key social anchor, increasing isolation in already dispersed rural areas. This loss is particularly acute for older farmers who relied on these spaces for connection and assistance. As isolation grows, so do stress and anxiety, compounding the emotional toll of financial insecurity. The human cost of the shutdowns is becoming increasingly visible, though often unspoken. The political atmosphere surrounding the crisis has grown more volatile. The governor of Arkansas faces relentless pressure from constituents demanding decisive action. Public forums have grown heated, with accusations that leadership failed to anticipate or prevent the closures. The sense of panic attributed to the governor reflects the enormity of the challenge rather than simple reaction. Each day without resolution reinforces the perception that control is slipping, not just over dealerships but over the broader trajectory of rural Arkansas. Efforts to negotiate with corporate leadership have yielded limited results. Decisions about dealership networks are made at levels far removed from local impact, driven by efficiency metrics and long-term strategic planning. Appeals based on community need or regional dependence carry little weight against centralized cost analyses. This reality has intensified frustration within Arkansas, where the consequences are immediate and deeply personal. The shutdowns have highlighted the imbalance of power between global corporations and local economies. The broader agricultural ecosystem is now adapting in uneven ways. Some independent service providers attempt to fill the gap, but they lack access to proprietary software, parts, and warranties. Farmers experimenting with alternative equipment brands face steep learning curves and compatibility issues. These adjustments increase operational complexity and reduce efficiency, further eroding profitability. The notion of seamless agricultural production, once taken for granted, is giving way to a fragmented and uncertain system. Education and workforce development are also affected. Training programs aligned with dealership careers lose relevance as job pathways disappear. Young people in Arkansas, observing the instability firsthand, are increasingly reluctant to pursue agricultural or technical careers tied to equipment servicing. This erosion of the talent pipeline threatens long-term resilience as fewer skilled workers are available to support future farming needs. The shutdowns are not only disrupting the present but constraining the future. The economic implications extend beyond state borders, drawing attention from policymakers across the USA. Arkansas is not alone in experiencing dealership consolidation, but its heavy reliance on agriculture magnifies the impact. Reduced productivity and increased costs within the state can affect national food supply chains, influencing prices and availability. What appears as a regional issue carries national significance, underscoring the interconnectedness of rural infrastructure and food security. Public confidence in traditional economic assurances is weakening. Farmers who believed loyalty to established brands and systems would guarantee continuity now question those assumptions. Communities that trusted growth narratives feel misled. The panic surrounding the governor of Arkansas reflects this broader erosion of confidence. Leadership is being judged not only on response but on whether the underlying economic model truly serves rural interests. As months pass, the possibility of permanent change becomes harder to ignore. Some dealerships may never reopen, their locations sold or repurposed. Recovery, if it comes, may look very different from what existed before. Centralized service hubs, remote diagnostics, and reduced local presence could become the new norm for Arkansas. Adapting to this reality will require rethinking infrastructure, transportation, and support systems to maintain agricultural viability. The shutdowns have also sparked renewed debate about corporate accountability. Many argue that companies benefiting from decades of local loyalty and public incentives should bear greater responsibility for community impact. Others caution that excessive demands risk driving further withdrawal. This tension reflects a larger national conversation within the USA about the balance between free enterprise and social obligation. Arkansas now finds itself at the center of that debate, grappling with its consequences in real time. Despite the challenges, resilience remains a defining trait of rural Arkansas. Farmers continue to innovate, collaborate, and adapt where possible. Community organizations mobilize to provide assistance and advocacy. Yet resilience has limits, and without structural support, endurance alone cannot sustain an entire economic system. The urgency expressed by the governor of Arkansas signals recognition that the crisis demands more than endurance. It requires transformation. The shutdown of John Deere dealerships has revealed vulnerabilities that were long overlooked. It has exposed how critical localized support is to modern agriculture and how quickly its absence can destabilize entire regions. As Arkansas navigates this period of upheaval, the choices made now will shape not only recovery but identity. The state stands at a crossroads, forced to confront hard truths about dependency, power, and preparedness within the evolving agricultural landscape of the USA.